complimentary about our centuries-old parish hall inquiry system. It's unique, they say. They make a few recommendations to improve it. Absolutely. We're great supporters of the parish hall inquiry system. It does provide that early intervention, a little short, sharp shock, but it doesn't. Children don't necessarily enter the criminal justice system.
Can we turn to arrangements and conditions for children and young people who are in custody?
Yep.
Because Her Majesty's Inspector for Prisons and now the Howard League have both said Lemoy Prison is just unsuitable for young people. Will the states be stopping sending youngsters to Lemoy?
Yeah. Right. By youngsters, you mean under 18s? Yeah. This is holding young adults at Lemoy is a very sensitive and emotive subject, Roger.
But all the experts are saying, I don't care how emotive it is, all the experts are saying it's wrong.
Well, sometimes you can get big 17-year-olds that are extremely aggressive, violent, and to accommodate them with a 12 or 13-year-old timid child isn't appropriate either. So this is an extremely important matter of policy that needs to be considered very, very carefully. There are different types of children that enter the system. There are the vulnerable ones who are at risk from harming themselves and perhaps others. There are children who are on remand, and there are those that have committed an offence. And these are different categories. There are different age groups. Of course, there's different sexes.
The report is quite clear on this. Yeah. All children shouldn't be sent to Lemoy.
It will mean a huge restructuring of our penal reform system, and it is. I'm not ruling it out, but it needs to be considered. A 17-year-old who has some serious offences of violence may not be appropriate to accommodate them with a vulnerable 13-year-old.
Now, we've got to mention Greenfields. I mean, I'm sure we'll be talking about this next week as a separate issue. But according to the report, huge problems there, mainly, of course, a legacy of the past. What do you intend to do to put things right? Right,
Roger. I want to... Your listeners will be aware of where the facility is. It's opposite the Jersey Evening Post at Five Oaks. Greenfields was an old farm. And in 2006, the old accommodation, the old secure accommodation unit, which was a farmhouse, was closed and in favour of a brand new facility. A brand new secure accommodation facility. So up there we've got the old building, a brand new building. We've got the alternative curriculum, which offers supportive and intensive education for children who perhaps are excluded or perhaps are struggling at school. So what I'd like to do and what we hope to do is make the whole of the Greenfields complex much more sociably friendly, accessible, and to take the sort of the prison roof off the place. But having said that, we still do need a secure accommodation area. So there's work to do here, and I accept that there has been failings in the past.
Well, you've got to talk about the Grand Prix system. Yeah. Now, of course, what happened in the past wasn't part of the remit, as we know, of this report, but it does say, and this is hugely important, past practices have a great potential to affect what happens now and in the future, and they included their opinion as an appendix that the Grand Prix system was unlawful. So people are going to ask, are we going to see any disciplinary or even judicial action for any abuse committed in the past at Les Chenes or Greenfields? After all, unlawful practices are unlawful practices.
Absolutely. Unlawful practices would be an unlawful practice, but there is no evidence that unlawful practices were undertaken at the old Les Chenes. Certainly in 2006, when we moved to the new building, state-of-the-art building, highly praised. Andrew Williams said it's one of the finest examples of a secure unit for youngsters that he'd ever seen.
But you're saying the Grand Prix system was never used in a way which was abusive? How do you know?
The Grand Prix system was never used in the way it was described at all.
How do you know that?
No, there are extensive records kept up there. Children were never held in solitary confinement for weeks on end. That is just so untrue. The claims that have been made have been by residents, staff working there, some of which you know, Roger, will tell you otherwise. And records clearly show that whilst the building was inadequate, proper supervision was undertaken of these children. So we move on. We're now into the new building.
But you say move on. The divisions among the staff at Greenfields, described in the report, is a conflict between the cultures we were talking about at the beginning. You know, punishment and control against compassionate care and meeting the real needs. No, if things stay as they are, doesn't that show that the Jersey system is going to favour the punitive way?
No. There's a claim in the report, which I intend to investigate, that there is a division amongst the staff currently. I'm not aware of that.
Well, it's quite clear in the report.
We know historically there was. We know that.
The report says quite clearly it's there today, and it is here.
That is I read that, and we will investigate that, and we will support any initiative, and the Howard League makes recommendations in this respect to deal with this, and so we will support that.
So guaranteed independent inspection, perhaps, of Greenfields. The place will be run according to a rigorous and accepted framework of standards, such as the National Standards for Children's Home. Can you guarantee that?
Absolutely. Not only at Greenfields. It is my intention that in 2009, we will not only appoint, but we will have our first inspection of all of Jersey's children's services. Independent, outside inspection, coming through, looking at our vulnerable children, in the support for vulnerable children, the way the Jersey Child Protection Committee operates, and the whole aspects around children and supporting children will be open to scrutiny, and we welcome this. And it's important that Jersey, being an island and being a close community, invites outside inspection. And since Senator Shenton and I have been involved, we have a track record of doing this. Williamson, June Thorburn, to name but two.
But this powerful interlocking network that the Howard League refer to, which can lead to cronyism, the old boy network. How many times have we heard that in the past year? It's inevitable, the report says, but there must be checks and balances. So, once again, will you confirm independent inspection, accountability, proper whistleblowing policies?
Yes.
Will we be seeing moves to introduce these checks and balances?
Absolutely. The outside inspection is a given. We look forward and we welcome outside inspection. We're encouraging it. We're in the process of appointing an independent agency, and we'll be announcing that as a part of the Williamson implementation plan, who will be a regular inspector of all our services.
Senator Perchard, thank you for coming into the studio today. Of course, BBC Jersey will have more on the Howard League report and its ramifications today and over the coming days.